Here at the CDC, we are always trying to keep the most up-to-date statistics readily available to the public. And drug usage has become a major epidemic in the U.S., so we have begun new studies into the problem. Chicago has popped up onto our radar as a high drug area. The U.S. Department of Justice has designated Chicago and its surrounding areas as a high-intensity drug trafficking area as well. And Chicago has a major problem on their hands. In Chicago, about 87% of people arrested test positive for drugs. Heroin is increasing in usage throughout the city. Cocaine has dropped off as the most used drug, but it is still readily available. Jack Riley, special agent in charge for Chicago DEA, has attributed this high spike in drug usage to the growing number of Mexican cartel members in the city. Currently, the Zeta cartel and the Sinaloa cartel are fighting for control of billions of dollars worth of
What
marijuana,
exactly do you do?
cocaine, and heroin.
I'm a CDC researcher in Atlanta for the U.S. federal government, and I focus on the links between public health and drug use in the U.S.
I've got an article here which you did overseas. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. One of the main parts of my research is involved in stopping demand for these illicit substances, and the substance in question here was heroin. And the U.S. has a large heroin problem that's mainly sourced now by Mexican drug cartels. During a trip to Canada, I learned of a practice that the Canadian government has been implementing, and it involves safe injection site storefronts that actually provide a chemical heroin substitute similar to methadone. And it does sound dirty, and it is. They're in blighted neighborhoods, and every day at a certain time, the clinic will open up, and the addicts gather outside it, and they come in and they get a free clean needle, along with a safe injection site and a small dose of this chemical. And it keeps them from buying it on the street, and even if it doesn't keep them from buying it on the street completely, it does part of the time. And it takes away from some of the demand that the illicit drug trade fills. So demand reduction is one of the main parts of my research. So I want to see if we can replicate this program in some US cities, because the results in Canada have been good. There's been less crime in the neighborhoods around where these are from where there weren't the clinics previously. Addicts aren't breaking into cars to get $5 to pay for their drugs because they're provided. And some people are going to say that this is expensive to the taxpayer, but it's really not, because we're already paying for the treatment and the attached societal causes.
Would taxpayers pay for this?
They would, but they're already paying for it, and in fact, they're already paying a lot more for it. So my research is based around finding ways that we can keep the population who is unfortunately addicted to drugs and the taxpayer happy. And I think this does both, because you're not going to solve drug addiction overnight, but we can wean people off of it with a safe substance, and they're not giving money back to the drug cartels. Is the essence.
I'm here today with Tyler Anderson, who is 22, who also works at Sacred Heart Rehab Clinic here in Chicago. Tyler, why did you decide to become a rehab worker?
I lost my older brother to a heroin overdose, so that really made me think about drugs and its use here in the population. And so when I was in college, I had to pick a career, and that's the one I chose.
Do you find the rehab work that you do to be beneficial?
It really depends on the clinic. A lot of times the different counselors have a lot of different ways to treat rehab patients, so it cannot be very effective a lot of times, and courts are now passing rulings where they send you to rehab instead of jail. So a lot of times we have just people that are in there that don't want to be there. They just fake their way through the rehab and are right back out on the streets using. Really only the ones that are in the publicly funded clinics that want to be there are the ones that actually complete rehab and usually never use again.
How old were you when you started using?
I was 15, and I got involved with an older guy. I met him through some friends of mine, and he was the life of the party. Everybody wanted to be around him, and he actually he sold a lot of drugs to me, or not to me at the time, but to my friends and I at the high school. And we were at a party one night, and everybody was doing lines of cocaine, and he said, hey, like, do this, you'll feel a lot better. I was kind of tired. And so that night, that I was 15, and that was when I started using cocaine.
What kind of effects did it have on you?
Well, the first time I used, it was like, wow. I was up, and I was just like running around, and I had a lot of energy, and I felt alive, I guess.
What led you to rehab?
It was I was 18, and well, I am 18 now, and my boyfriend and I, we were living together at the time, and he was still dealing, and he got really nervous, and he didn't want us to live in the apartment we were in anymore, and so we started just kind of moving around and staying with different people. He was freaking out. He said that he'd made some bad choices. He wasn't with us the night we all got picked up. He was with a different friend of ours, and after, I didn't see him obviously once I got picked up, and then I'd been in rehab for I think it was a month or so maybe, and we were allowed phone calls, and I got one from a friend of ours, and they said that he'd completely disappeared.
How did you get involved in the drug trade?
My brother was on dope, and I started doing it a little bit. Nothing like mutual, but he acted as a middleman for a while, and I sold him money to make, and people would smoke lots of free, and college, bills and everything, it saved money.
And who would you say are your suppliers? Morally, how do you feel about what you're doing?
I regret it, and especially I feel like it's in a certain aspect of the work